And welcome everyone to another special edition of the ETBU Sportsnet. I'm Kenneth the K-Rock Klein, and throughout this fall semester, we have been unveiling the all-time Tigers team, courtesy of ETBU football, as this is, of course, their 20th season since it being formed back in 2000. We are talking to some of the best players of the best, through showcasing them through interviews and having stories with memories both on and off the field. And we're down to our final position group, and it's the quarterback position. We have had 6 outstanding quarterbacks being named, and among them, of course, is this young fellow you see on your screen right here, Josh Warbington. He's a 3-time All-ASC, a 2-time USA Football Network All-American, an ASC All-Academic, and was a semifinalist for the Gagliardi Trophy. He's also the all-time passing yards leader and was second in touchdown passes, and was the quarterback of the 2015 ASC champion ETBU Tigers. Josh, of course, can't have the list without you, pal, but good to have you on the show, and congrats for being on the list.
Well, thank you, Kenneth. It's been a very big honor, and I really appreciate everything y'all do for ETBU and for the sports information.
Absolutely. We'll get into your football career in just a moment. But first and foremost, give us an update about how things have been. What year you graduating in? What was your major in? And what you're currently doing at this point?
Well, I graduated with my undergrad in business with a concentration in accounting in 2016. I graduated with my master's in business administration in the 2018. So I currently am working for Eastman Credit Union. It's a bank in Longview, Texas, as a mortgage loan officer.
Absolutely. Good to hear that things are going well with you as well. All right, Josh. Now, first big question, obviously, when you think back to your time there, obviously, you had an outstanding coaching career or outstanding quarterback career as well. And you had the opportunity to learn from current Kansas assistant coach Joshua Ergo and the newly hired head coach at Austin Peay, Scotty Walden, of course, who was your offensive coordinator as well. Just seeing them in their positions that they're in right now, and knowing what you learned under them, what is it like to know that you guys were the program that sort of not only resonated ETBU football, but also gave them their future opportunities to the current positions that they're in now?
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome to see them where they're at now. I mean, even people who's came in with them as other assistant coaches who've gone on to bigger, better things. It's just great to see all the former coaches that we had who are in better positions and better programs, bigger programs. So it's great to see everybody who I've been through personally through my 4 years there, seeing them in the things that they're doing now. Got to recognize Coach Ergo, Coach Walden for the things that they did for us. I mean, coming in my freshman year, I really didn't know what to expect playing college football. I knew it was going to be a little bit faster, a little bigger, stronger, and everything in every aspect. Our first year under Coach Sartain, we went 3-7. So we kind of had that losing season. That kind of was the trend for the last few years at ETBU football. And I knew that spring when Coach Ergo and Coach Walden came in, that was going to change. Of course, we went 3-7 our first year and 4-6 that second year, but that culture was changing. Every day Coach Walden and Coach Ergo drilled into our minds that we will win. And, we did finally end up winning that 2015 season with a share of that conference championship. And, just from the beginning when Coach Walden came in, they changed the culture dramatically with the things that they taught us, the things that they put in our minds. It was no longer just get by and, try to have a 5-5 winning season. It was, we're trying to win a championship every year. And, come to find out 2015, we finally put it together and we were able to win that share of the conference championship.
Yeah, and the journey to becoming conference champions as well wasn't always easy. I know there were some bumps along the way, and then, of course, there were games where you kind of had in the bag and then they just kind of slipped out from underneath you. But just talk about the learning process, because like you said, you can kind of tell that the culture was changing, even though you had your losing seasons in your sophomore and junior years. But just talk about like what the mindset of the guys having an understanding that, hey, this is a serious business. We can really do this. Like we can really win it all going into that 2015 year.
Yeah. Coach Ergo came in with this plan and, and when he came and established that plan, we were able to then effectively executed. And so that 2013 season, we lost a bunch of games pretty by a good margin. Our offense was doing great. Defense, we were giving up a lot of points on the defensive side, but we were hanging in there for the most part. But there was something that was not there. That 2014 season, we were able then to get those farther margins back to a close game. We were able to win a couple of them, but we were not able to win some of the close games. And so that was kind of the mindset going into that 2015 season is take everything that we have learned those last two seasons. Let's put it together. Let's win those close games, and then let's play for a conference championship. And so, that's what Coach Ergel and Coach Walton drilled into our mindsets in the offseason, in the summertime. Even, the things that we were doing on and off the field, he was making sure we were doing everything to make sure ETBU football was the standard. And that was one thing Coach Walton always drilled in the quarterbacks and the offense was be the standard. That was one of his main slogans is anytime that people look at ETBU, this is the standard. When they look at college football in the ASC, each offense is the standard. And so that's one thing the whole process was trying to make sure we were doing everything in our ability to make sure that we win the football game at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, 2015, you guys were able to put together a very stellar season. And then it all came down to the big game against Hardin-Simmons University, because at that point, Hardin-Simmons, they had just beaten Mary Hardin-Baylor the week before. And you guys were kind of, you had one loss, to say the least. And then Hardin-Simmons also had one loss as well. So you kind of went into that game. And the conditions that week, specifically the weather, because we talked to Kendall Roberson last week, and the game against Bellhaven, it really rained in the monsoon. But obviously, in this particular game against Hardin-Simmons, it was the Mud Bowl. Talk about just everything leading up to that game, playing in the game and in the mud, and then when the final buzzer sounded, realizing that you were at least having a share of the conference championship.
Yeah, the Mud Bowl you'll never forget. I wish I'd have had a pocket full of mud I could have kept in a jar with me forever. But I didn't end up getting any. But, just the memories I have of coaches sliding in the mud and, once that final buzzer sounded. But, early in the season, we played Bellhaven. Of course, shout out to Kendall Roberson for the 420 yards in that game, because it was a sloppy mud game as well. So we were pounding the ball on the ground game, and shout out to the offensive line. They opened up many holes for Kendall and J Mac to run the ball. And so going into the game for Hardin-Simmons, we already had that mindset. We've already played in the mud. We've already played in the pouring down rain at Ornella Stadium. So we already had this mindset is going into this game. It was about doing ETBU football. It was not trying to worry about the weather, the conditions. It was going out there and playing our game. And all week in practice, Coach Walden would soak the footballs in water. He would put them in the mud and then give it to us to play with. So it's like all week long, we kind of knew the conditions going into the game, what it was going to be like. So we practiced for that. And the start of the game, of course, everybody is really, either you're nervous or you got, you're just really hyped, ready to go for the game. And I think it really came down to just us playing our game. And our defense played lights out. They did not give Hardin-Simmons anything. And offensively, Kendall and J Mac and our offensive line, since it was muddy and rainy, it was really hard to throw the ball. I mean, I might have had 40-something yards passing that game, maybe. So everything was on the ground. And, the offensive line and Kendall and J-Mac, they ran the ball, they ran hard, and we were able to score. Of course, in my mind, one of the biggest plays of the game was to Cody Gandy for the up the middle, the tight end. Nobody really expected him to run out for a pass, and I hit him across the middle for a big gain. It was a 3rd and 8, I believe, in the third quarter. So that actually sprung us to go up the 27-21 at the time, and we ended up hanging on to the game that way. And I think once we held them on that 4th down in the 4th quarter, we had to get 1 first down. It was a 3rd and 2, I believe it might have been 2nd and 2 or something. I think it was 3rd and 2 though. Kendall got tackled, so it was 3rd and 2. And I looked at him. I said, "I don't care what you got to do. get this first down. And I told the offensive line that as well. And so, they gave it everything they got. And, that feeling of taking that final knee and listening to the scoreboard sound, knowing that we just accomplished everything that we wanted to do as seniors was probably the best feeling ever.
Absolutely. And of course, you'd say 40 yards passing, but we can ignore that. Obviously, it was good enough to win the game because we've obviously had a lot of 100-yard passing yard games.
Yeah, I tell you what, it didn't matter if I threw for negative 10 yards. It wouldn't matter. We won the game. It was a team effort. There was no one individual play on that. The defense was lights out. Special teams, everything all around was a team effort in getting that win.
Absolutely. So we can just but you've done a lot more to accomplish to be on this list as well. As I said earlier, a 3-time All-ASC selection, All-American, semifinalist for the Gagliardi Trophy, which for those that may not know is the D3's version of the Heisman Trophy, if you will. When you look back on your career and now to find out that you are on this list, what does it mean to you when you hear Josh Warbington, quarterback on the all-time Tigers team?
It's a huge honor, and all glory to God on that. I mean, it wasn't nothing mainly I did. I had fantastic guys around me. I had excellent offensive linemen. I had excellent running backs, and then I had tremendous receivers all around me, from Tyler Bates to Xavier Gray, Derek Ledette, Stephen Alford. List goes on and on. So I had Jermaine Sherman my first year quarterback. My sophomore season, he gets a free agency to the St. Louis Rams. So it helped out. I had tremendous athletes around me that enabled me to be able to do great things. And so, it was a huge offensive effort. Shout out to Coach Walden putting us in the best places to be able to win the games and be able to excel in the offensive realm. So, like I said, all the awards and accolades, they're great. I think the biggest one was the championship in 2015. I could have won anything. That championship really is what we were shooting for as a team. But having the awards does make you feel really great. The Gagliardi trophy was a really, really cool thing to be on. Like I said, that was a really, really good list of great quarterbacks and other offensive players for that. A shout out to Dr. Hanby. He was my accounting professor whenever I was up for the Gagliardi Trophy. He had our whole entire accounting class and other classes go in and vote for me for that. And I had other professors do that. So the whole entire campus was behind me that year when I was nominated for the Gagliardi Trophy. And I know they did the same thing for Ty Parsons whenever he was nominated the year after. So, just those awards and everything means a lot to me. That the championship in 2015 means the most. And I know we'll get into more about the other teammates, but I think, that really means the most.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you're part of a really good collection of players, especially for ones in the 2015 team. Obviously, we talked about Kendall Roberson, Tyler Bates. I was thinking about this the other day. It almost was like I was kind of watching the D3 version of the early 90s Dallas Cowboys, where it was the triplets, Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin. I'm not a Cowboys fan, but you kind of get the point, because it almost felt like there was just that sort of chemistry that you had with Tyler and with Kendall. But that also applies to everybody else on the team, not just those two guys as well. Like when going in, like when you're getting ready to go in a huddle and knowing that you have arguably the best back you can have behind you, and then you have arguably the best receiver you have. You also have these incredible confidence. Like, does that sort of translate into the mindset of, hey, we got this. We're going to go down and so we're going to score?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, anytime I needed somebody to bail me out, I was under pressure, I needed to throw it up. My junior year, it was Stephen Alford. I could throw the ball anywhere, and Stephen was going to come down with it. Same thing with Tyler Bates for all 3 years. He was my go-to guy. I had a lot of people always give me a hard time, like why I only threw the ball to Bates. But, I'm not going to pass up an open receiver. So he was open all the time. So I give him that. But, yeah, I mean, it gives you a ton of confidence. I mean, my offensive line was going to protect me. They were going to give me the time to go through my progression and be able to make the throw. And then having Kendall behind me, anytime I needed to hand the ball off, I knew he was going to fall for at least 4 yards. And majority of the time, he broke it for a big play. In 2015, we're playing Howard Payne. First play of the game was just an inside handoff, and he told me right before the play, he said, "I'm gonna house this," and he did. So, that confidence is what we had, and me and Kendall, like I said, we're best friends and stuff. So we still talk to this day all the time in each other's weddings and everything. So one of the main things that sticks out is we had a play against Texas College our senior year, and I was supposed to shuffle twice or hand it. I ended up shuffling about 4 times and throwing a deep ball to Tyler Bates for a touchdown, and he never let me live it down. So he still gets on it today because he could have had a touchdown too. But that chemistry really set the tone for that 2015 season. We played together. That 2014 season was Kendall's first year. We only had Stephen Alford for 1 year. He wasn't able to get that last year, but then that senior year, we had that chemistry between us three and also everybody else on the offense. So that chemistry, just anytime we touched the ball, we knew we were going to score. So, and that's kind of goes into our whole offensive plan was, anytime we touch the ball, we're going to score the ball. And, having those guys around just made it so much easier.
Without question, I'm still getting flashbacks of seeing you performing on the field as well. I mean, I only saw you play 1 year, but I kind of get the impression that was a big impact for that one season as well. Of course, ETBU being a faith-based university, how has God impacted your time there?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, my life was totally different before I came to know the Lord. I grew up as a pastor's son, and so I kind of my faith was based off of him and just going to church every week. It wasn't until the 2015 season when I actually turned my life around and gave my life to Christ. And so that whole 2015 season, everything we did was to glorify God. That was part of our team slogan. Run the race, fight the good fight, and keep the faith. And everything we did was glory to God. And so he's the reason why, I'm on that list. He's the reason why I did everything that I was able to do at ETBU. He gave me the abilities and strength to be able to go, career there. And, you can't say you're on your own power. I mean, God is the reason why you're here and doing what things you're doing.
Without question. Okay, Josh, time to put your recruiting skills to the test, if you will. Obviously. So you have a high school football player in right now, and you're trying to get them to go to ETBU. What would you tell them why they should go?
It's the best place to go. I mean, I spent my 4 years there and plus getting to play 2 sports. And then outside of sports, I mean, I met my best friend. I met my wife there. I mean, I made friendships that are lifelong. But when it comes to sports, you got a president who's going to have your back for athletics. You got a great athletic department from athletic trainers to coaches to sports information directors. Like big shout out to you and to Adam. Y'all do a great job of getting our stuff out there on social media and making sure that people know about you. And like I said, we've had a lot of people play professional football, other professional sports. And so, like I said, there's many opportunities at ETBU. I mean, Ty Parsons played professionally in Germany. I know there's a couple others that played arena football, from Jermaine Sherman going to the Rams, Kendall, Arizona Cardinals, and then to Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Sam Williams, back, he played for Saskatchewan Rough Riders. So we've got multiple people that opportunities to play outside of just college football. And, as a high school kid coming in, you're looking to play college football, but, a lot of people want that opportunity to go outside of college and play, some sort of professional football or any other sport. And ETBU does a great job marketing our kids and giving them opportunities and making sure that they're in positions to do the best thing for their lives.
Absolutely. And one final question, of course, obviously we're still kind of dealing with all of this pandemic stuff and there's just some little bit of uncertainty at this point, but we always like to ask our alumni if they have any words of wisdom. And of course, being you're 5 years out or 4 years of 5 out from graduating, you're now an official and alumnus. Any words of wisdom for our current listeners, whether they're a student or a fellow alumnus of ETBU?
Yeah, my wisdom would be no matter what goes on in life, no matter, even with this president election, with the pandemic, it doesn't really matter because God sits on the throne. And so if you put all your faith and your trust in Jesus Christ, you know, you're going to have a future in anything that you do. If you put your mindset to it, you'll be able to accomplish great things. And going to ETBU was one step forward to accomplishing great things for me in my life. So that would be my words of wisdom: is always keep the faith and put Jesus Christ first in everything you do.
Number 13 on the field, number 1 in our hearts, Josh Warbington. Thank you so much for being here, and congratulations once again on making this list.
Thank you, Kenneth. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. That is Josh Warbington. I'm Kenneth the K-Rock Klein. Tune in next time. We're going to keep our all-time Tiger segment going. We'll find out who our next athlete we'll be talking to is in just a bit.